Hey everybody, I'm coming back at you with our day 2 of 8-7 factoring completely. And so I'm on the same note sheet we were on yesterday. I got 4 more problems to come at you with today to just show you some more scenarios for factoring completely. And so if you could go to the same note sheet to take these notes, but as a reminder, I've got my 4 different ways to complete this factoring. And so let's dive in and get started on factoring completely. Here we go. All right, my first problem is 16t squared minus 100t plus 24. As a reminder from yesterday, we are going to first pull out any common factors. Now I should rewind. I'm starting with number 8. I'm going to do 8, 7, 6, 9 in that order. So if you're following along in your textbook, on page 215 again, I'm going to go 8, 7, 6, 9 in that order, okay? All right, so number 8, we have to pull out a common factor. What do they all have in common? Well, they all have a 4. So let's go ahead and pull out that 4 and see what we are left with. Oops, I'm on a eraser. Let's do it with the 4. So I'd have 4t minus 25t plus 6. I am left with 3 terms. I see my first term is a perfect square, while my last term is not. And so I have 3 terms. It is not a perfect square trinomial. I'm going to have to use this one, the product of 2 binomials. I'm going to multiply to AC and add to B. So let's find those terms. All right. So my AC is a 4 and a positive 6. It's 24. I can write down all my factors of 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. And I need to make negative 25. That does mean I'm going to have to choose this top one, and I can make both of these negative. Negative 1 times negative 24 is positive 24. 1 added together, it's negative 25. Let's replace that middle term. I'm going to drop the 4 on the outside off for now. Just got to remember at the end to put it back. We're going to rewrite that middle term. You know what? I forgot a square down here, so I'm going to make sure I add it, because I forgot it before, so let's add it. Good for you if you saw I missed that, so thank you for that if you saw I missed it. All right, let's just put the 24 with the 4. So I'd have minus 24t minus 1t plus 6. Now we factor by grouping because it's 4 terms. So we're really using 2 things here. Now we're going to use this 4-term factoring by grouping because I've turned it into 4 terms. So let's factor by grouping. Group this together and get that negative in there, that minus sign, and group this together. 4t squared and 24t, I can pull out a 4t. That would leave me with t minus 6. Now, the next term is exactly the opposite of what I need it to be. It's negative t plus t 6. I need it to be t minus 6, so I can pull out a negative 1, and that'll make it t minus 6 and flip my terms. All right, now my binomials match, so I can write what I have. 4t minus 1 is my first binomial. T minus 6 is, oops, add 6, is my second. And I go back up here and I peek because I want to make sure I pull the 4 out initially to begin with. So I put a 4 on the outside. There's your final answer by factoring by grouping. Next number, I told you I was going to do 7 next. All right, it's only 2 terms, which means I'm going to have to use the difference of 2 squares. But the first thing I need to do is pull out the first factor it has in common. Well, they both have a q, so I actually can pull a q out of this. So let's do that. If I pull out a q, I'm left with p squared minus q divided by q is 1. P squared is a perfect square, and actually 1 is a perfect square too. 1 times itself, 1 times 1 is 1, which makes it a perfect square. So let's go back up and check if we can use this 2-term thing. It is the difference of 2 squares. It has to be a perfect square, p squared is. It has to be a perfect square, 1 is, and it has to be subtraction. And it is. We can go ahead and use this method. We need to unsquare, and then the first one will be plus, and the second one will be subtraction. So let's unsquare these terms. They're very small terms to unsquare. Unsquaring p squared would just be p, and unsquaring 1 is actually 1. So my final answer would be p plus 1 and p minus 1, and not forgetting to throw this q on the outside of it. I have now factored completely. Okay? 2 more to go. Number 6. Now I want to give you a really big hint. When it starts with c to the 4th or something bigger, we're not starting with a squared. We are going to have to factor more than once to break it all the way down. So let something when it's like to the 4th power be your hint. Step 1 is to pull out any common factors, but c to the 4th, 13, c squared, and 36 with no c actually doesn't have any common factors. So instead, I need to use one of these two at the top, one of these two methods. We are actually going to use this one, the product of two binomials. It's not a perfect square trinomial. So we're going to use this product of two binomials and break it down, which means we need to multiply AC and add to B. Well, AC is 1, which is hidden there, times 36. So it's 36. And I need my factors to make negative 13. So I can go ahead and write 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and 6 and 6. I need to make what? Negative 13. So I'm going to use this one right here. Make them both negative. Negative times negative is a positive, and it adds to negative 13. We're now going to rewrite it as 4 terms and factor by grouping. So I'd have c to the 4th, and let's put, it probably doesn't really matter, let's just put the 9 next, minus 9c squared. Now, this was c squared in the middle, which means my middle term needs to stay the same variable. Minus 4c squared, I'm replacing this middle term, plus 36. All right, group them and factor by grouping. So c to the 4th minus 9c squared, I can pull out a c squared out of it. It would leave me with c squared minus 9. And so I need my next one to say c squared minus 9. I can pull out a negative 4. And that will leave me with c squared minus 9. Let's rewrite what we have. I have c squared minus 4 and c squared minus 9. I have no number to write on the outside. I didn't pull anything out. You might say you're done, but you know what I would say? Oh, I think we have farther to go. I see that c squareds are perfect squares, and 4 and 9 are perfect squares, and they're each 2 terms. So let's go back up and peek. 2 terms, the difference of 2 squares, we can break this down even farther. We can unsquare each of those terms and then make them plus and subtraction. So addition and subtraction. So let's unsquare. This is going to get a little messy. So if we unsquare c squared, we get c. Unsquare 4, we would get 2. This first binomial turns into c plus 2 and c minus 2. I can keep going because this was it has to be subtraction, but these are both subtraction and they're both perfect squares. It has to be subtraction though. So I unsquared the c squared to get c, and the 9 to get 3. I'd have c plus 3 and c minus 3. That is actually factored completely then. Here is where it would not work. If I have c squared plus 4, and I'm not saying this is the answer, but I'll show you that you can't undo it anymore, and I have c squared plus 9, because they are addition, it is not the difference, subtraction of 2 squares. This you could not factor anymore. But this one we could, this first one here, and this one because they are subtraction, okay? So this breaks way down into 4 terms, 4 binomials. All right, number 9. I have a little extra line there. I don't know what that's about. I think it was part of my 9 and I wrote it the wrong way. All right, number 9 reads, show 2 different ways to factor. My number 9 is different than the book. I must have made my number 9 up. So let's do this one. 7x to the 4th plus 56x squared plus 112. All right, I see an x to the 4th again, which should be a really big hint that I might have to factor more than once. So first thing though, I can pull a 7 out of this. So let's do that. And if you don't know that off the top of your head, that's okay. X to the 4th. 56 x squared becomes 8. Oops. Hang on. Go back and fix your notes. I want this to be subtraction here. So my apologies. I have a wrong sign. Minus. Minus 8x squared. I'm glad I found that right away. And then 112 divided by 7 is 16. All right. So let's see what we have. What we're going to do is we're going to do this one, and we're going to rewrite it and use the product of two binomials. So AC is 16. And I need to figure out what numbers are going to be negative 8. I hope you can kind of start to see. I need to use 4 and 4. And they both need to be negative. And that'll give me negative 8. So let's rewrite this as 4 terms. I'm going to drop that 7 off for a minute. Just don't forget about it. I'm going to have x to the 4 minus 4x squared. Remember, I'm replacing the middle term, so it's got to be x squared. Minus 4x squared and plus 16. I'm going to go ahead and now factor by grouping, because I'm 4 terms. I can pull the x squared out of this, so it's x squared minus 4. I need the next one to say x squared minus 4. So I'm going to pull out a negative 4, and I get x squared minus 4 again. And I end up with x squared minus 4 times x squared minus 4. Holy smokes. These are both subtraction. Since they're both subtraction, and they're both perfect squares, I can use this now, this difference of two squares, to finish it, because they're both subtraction and both are perfect squares. So let's go ahead and finish breaking this down. I break it down into x and 2. So I'm going to rewrite that one first. It's x plus 2 and x minus 2, but I got to do it again now. So I have another x and another 2. Since they're both subtraction, I'm allowed to do this. X plus 2 and x minus 2. And then not forget, even another step. I had a 7 out here. And since I had a 7 out here, I need to also put that on my final answer. So holy smokes, that broke way down. But it is factored completely. All right. Good luck, everybody, with homework and understanding this. Let me know if you need help. And hopefully I get to see you guys again very soon.